Alright, hello everybody. Today I will be presenting my trade opportunity analysis overview project with the country Pakistan. I'm going to be acting as an economic analyst for a US based retail company, and you guys are going to be the members of the executive board on deciding whether or not on if we should be importing textile products from Pakistan. So, a little bit of an economic overview wise, what we do know is that Pakistan has a GDP worth of roughly of up to 373 up to 375 billion dollars, that which classifies it, that makes it a lower middle income to a developing country. Its GDP per capita is quite very low, coming in at $1,500 per capita. But at the same time, Pakistan has a very large population of over 243 million people, that which make it a top 5 most populated country in the world. And with this, it suggests that a large labor force and potential for economic growth comes in as an opportunity. Now, some of the factors economically wise on Pakistan is that its economy is supported by not only just a large population, but at the same time, it's a low cost labor force, which is important for manufacturing industries like in our scenario, textiles. Infrastructure, on one hand, is still developing in the process, but the country has access to major ports, like, for example, Karachi, which is its major port and is also the largest city in the country. So you're going to be seeing a lot of importing, exporting taking place in the Karachi, in the suburb, where business will be done as its main spot for international trade. So now with the trade overview on Pakistan is that Pakistan, as of right now, imports currently more goods than it exports, which results in a trade deficit, which means that the country itself depends heavily on international trade, that which gives the opportunities for any foreign business to do trade with Pakistan. And now, as you see over here in this graph as listed, as you see in the graph, Pakistan, imports really more than it exports, that which makes a trade deficit of roughly of up to $28 billion. And so, obviously this is going to show a strong sense of dependence and reliance on foreign goods and foreign business. Now, on exports, Pakistan's main export is textiles, which can include things from clothing to cotton and to fabrics. And now this industry dominates its export sector, that would show that Pakistan specializes in intensive labor production style. Now, as you can see in this graph that I have listed right here, around 60% of Pakistan's exports are textiles, and compared to 20% coming from its agriculture and 20% to its roughly other resources of exports. That which shows that it's a strong specialization in its labor-intensive industries. Now, with imports, on the other hand, Pakistan's main imports come from things from machinery to oil and to chemicals. Because of this, of its imports, it relies more so on foreign countries for any industrial inputs, at the same time focusing on exporting its manufacturing goods, like in our scenario, as mentioned earlier, textiles. Now, a trade theory, Pakistan has a comparative advantage in textile production because it can produce them at a lower cost due to its relatively very low, cheap labor. And according to the Heckscher-Ohlin theory, Pakistan is labor abundant, so it has to export its labor-intensive goods like clothing and textiles, for example. And the gravity model explains why Pakistan trades heavily with countries like the US, China, because of their country's size and their economic importance that make Pakistan reliant on its economy. So Pakistan has quite many trading partners, but some of its largest trading partners in particular and its export destinations include the U.S. and China, the United Kingdom to Germany, to the United Arab Emirates, and now it's Pakistan's main imported countries that it primarily imports from come from China, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia. And so these relationships are driven by, again, their economic size up to their demand and their geographic proximity in some cases, for example. Now, the exchange rate, the Pakistani rupee, which is its currency, has been very weakening over time against the US dollar in comparison, and so this makes Pakistani exports to be at cheaper prices for US companies, which is beneficial if we are going to be importing Pakistani goods on one hand. And the Pakistani rupee has depreciated very, very significantly, which can make exports to be cheaper for foreign buyers like US companies and us, for example. So with infrastructure and transportation, Pakistan's transportation infrastructure includes its major port lines, such as Karachi being its biggest city and Gwadar. And so investments through the China-Pakistan economic corridor, for example, are improving its logistics and trade efficiency that make it very well reliant on its infrastructure and its transportation routes. So to give a final recommendation, final thoughts on this analysis, I really recommend that our company should import textile products from Pakistan because of its low labor costs and its strong specialization in textiles and its favorable exchange rate. And so I believe it can make it a very cost effective and make it really a strategic trade partner if we were to do trade with Pakistan. And to wrap this presentation up, these are the resources, references that I used throughout this project and throughout these slides.